Hey, what is going on YouTube? Today we are talking about the Amagi, the worst tier 7 battleship. No, I'm just kidding, guys. This is an obvious troll. You fell for the clickbait, but the reason that I wanted to make this video is I was streaming the other night, and somebody came into my chat, and they said, we were just discussing things, and they were like, yeah, dude, the Amagi sucks. It's the worst tier 7. And I kind of paused. I was like, I definitely don't like the Amagi, but it's not the worst tier 7. It's actually pretty good if you play it correctly, and they were adamant. This person was adamant that the Amagi was the worst tier 7. And finally, after just dealing with constant morons in this game who think that they know everything, I said, you know what? Let's play the damn thing. And well, this was the very next game. And guys, let me tell you, it's a doozy. Now, I'm going to include a little audio clip from the stream as we kind of troll the whole shadow nerf, part of the community, as well as the people who just, think that it's a specific boat that's bad and not them. But here's a little audio clip from the stream. Taken damage 0, dished out damage 15,000. This ship is terrible. I didn't get an instant deletion right away. I don't know how this game is playable. Sign me up. You actually have to press the zoom in button this many times for the Amagi to be good. Yes, if you guys actually didn't know, zooming in 87 times before each salvo is the secret to increased RNG. No, I'm just kidding, guys. Please don't believe any of that. There's no secret code. There's no shadow nerfs. We have disproven that so many times, and I know some people are not going to believe me. They think that Wargaming has some secret agenda, but what would be behind that? The truth is, it's all just randomness, and you need to position yourself better. And a prime example is this engagement right here. This Alabama is getting crossfired. He is pushed way too far in, way too soon, and his team has left him out to dry. So part of it is his team to blame. Also part of it is his positioning. He has sailed a slightly broadside into us, and we have taken 27,000 damage from him, while we ourselves angled out and taken none from him. Could he say that RNG or Wargaming wanted him to miss that salvo? Yes, but we also stopped and turned out, preventing a good majority of his shells. It's usually excuses like that sound best to the people making them up. But regardless, let's go ahead and talk about this game and why the Amagi is not as bad of a ship as you might think. Now, I was of the notion that the Amagi was not really that great until I started playing it. If you can kind of put yourself at these angled positions, and some people, I made a video a long time ago, they're like, you're broadside. And I'm really not. Now, I am a slightly broadside to this Kansas, but if you know the armor scheme of the Amagi here, you will know that even at this slight angle with the tiny turtleback that this ship has, you are fairly protected. So we decided to make the decision to push in here. We decided to be a man. I saw this battleship behind us, and here's a perfect example of RNG. We aim this shot a touch high, and I bet you guys know what's coming next. A broadside Edinburgh. We ended up getting one bounce. Absolutely trolled. I told you guys the Amagi is the worst battleship. No, I'm just kidding. That is a perfect example of RNG, but please wait a few more salvos. We get sweet revenge, and it is a perfect example of RNG. But if you will notice, and if I'm being honest, I have pushed in fairly aggressively here. I thought the Constellation behind me was going to push in as well. And unfortunately, he didn't. He decided to not be a man. No, I'm just kidding. I could have played this a touch more passive, and honestly, I should have. We had that Alabama there. He did die, thankfully. But good news is this Fletcher was actually a semi-Chad and saved me pretty well in a few of these circumstances. But here, this Congress is our biggest threat. He's close to us. He could potentially ram us. And that is when he decides to turn broadside. I'm not exactly sure why. We aim, I would argue that's waterline, potentially a touch high. We probably missed that Citadel, mainly because it's a very close to the water Citadel. We aim just an inch lower, and we do end up getting that Citadel. I see that the torpedoes are launched from the Fletcher, and we honestly have a few better targets to shoot at. Also, I didn't really want to take his kill. There's no such thing as kill stealing, but you can see that the Fletcher's hammering on that guy, helping me out. So we're just going to let him have it while we get this broadside Kansas here. And another perfect example of RNG, a broadside Kansas at medium range. We aim right at the waterline. I always aim that little inch high. It's just with the way that the shell ellipses and everything works. Plus, he's turning out just a touch. We don't get any Citadels, but we get a few chunky penetrations, and that is always more beneficial than aiming waterline and missing, in my opinion. Now, some people are going to argue different, but we still get Citadels aiming where we do. Also, I have nearly a 50% accuracy in some of these boats. Actually, not the Amagi. I think my accuracy is pretty bad in this boat. But here is the reverse of the other RNG. We pop the accuracy plane, and that Edinburgh, who is still sailing broadside, absolutely pays for it. 6 total hits, with 2 of those being Citadels, and the Edinburgh is on life support. People are going to argue that is bot protection, that he didn't get dev struck. And I've got one more for you. Please pay attention. There's another salvo against that Edinburgh in this game. But without really time, to worry about that, we have to focus on this Brandenburg. Why? Because the Brandenburg is a strong German ship. We get a touch lucky here that this Kansas probably used auto-aim, but we also were turning into him, which is going to cause those shells to go high, in which they did. We got another broadside on that Brandenburg, which ended up ticking our high caliber. If you notice the scoreboard, we're barely winning. Our team did do a good job of getting this ACAP as well as pushing through on the seaside, but for some reason our team has evened out these ships. If you will notice, that Constellation did decide, to push in with us. He decided it's time to be a man. I don't blame this Constellation, that much. I would have preferably towards the end of the game like for him to use his health, but he did create some nice crossfires, and we of course managed our ship moderately well. Again, we are slightly broadside here, but we know that the Brandenburg, especially with the Japanese armor scheme, we do have a slight turtleback, is not going to punch our Citadel. He can get some nice penetrations, which is always that is kind of the counter to the Amagi there, as Mr. Girthquake decides to spam me with invites, which is when we go on Do Not Disturb. And guys, here is one of the craziest shots I've ever had in the Amagi. This is a pure auto aim and a perfect example of RNG. I wanted to shoot at this Brandenburg, but again, our carrier actually does a decent job. We only have the front 2 turrets. I pushed the salvo a little bit up and a little bit high. Looking at those coming out of the barrel, they don't look good, and all of a sudden, good night, thanks for playing. 2 Citadels on 4 shots. He actually healed up enough health to give me the dev strike. I don't want to hear it about RNG or shadow nerfs or any of that garbage. It's all random. It's all how you position your ship. Again, we did get some good team support, and we ended up not getting, utterly focused by the carrier, but we put our ship in the right spot. We shot the appropriate targets. We angled when necessary, and as a result, we're going to get the win. A huge shout out to our Fletcher, and at the end here, this Constellation. But as you can see, it's not this random, it's not wargaming going after you. It's just you put yourself in a position to roll the dice more times, and you will get more snake eyes or more double sixes. And what I mean by that is if you live longer, if you position better, if you angle, if you, put your ship in a spot to get the broadsides, then you will get those salvos. Now, of course, that shot on the Edinburgh was pure luck. It was auto aim. It was auto aim, but I always aim up and forward a little bit when auto aim takes effect, because that's just auto aim typically lands those shells short, especially over islands. I think that is part of the reason, we believe shells land short is shots over islands. But here we have put ourselves in a position, and honestly, it's not a great one. I should have just hung back, but I was getting a little hungry. If you will notice, though, we have a beautiful set of ribbons, 10 planes so far, 8 defends, 5 citadels, with one of those being a dev strike on that Edinburgh. And we're not done yet. 163,000 damage is a fantastic total, especially at tier 7. I think we have gotten so numb to slightly, this is an incredible game, if I'm being honest. Unfortunately, though, I do get focused at the end here. I was pretty upset with how this game ended because this carrier is completely unprotected. But this is my own fault, right? I pushed blindly into this Kansas, and of course the carrier is going to go after a low-health battleship, especially when that battleship is a community contributor. Now, did I know if he was going after me because I was a community contributor? Probably not. But here, the Kansas shot his front turrets, gets his back turrets off, and we end up dying. So a little mismanagement of our health at the end, but a pretty gnarly game. Only 1 kill, but kills are irrelevant, truly. It's more so about damage, attracted damage, and damage dished out. Now, a few of you might be surprised by this XP total, but I really wasn't. We'll go ahead and skip to the end here. And again, a huge shout out to this Fletcher. He was an absolute Chad. Fortunately, we couldn't get him the Kraken. But go ahead and guess in the comments down below or in your head, what do you think that XP total is going to be? 3,000, 2,900, 3,560. A lot of that had to do with overall damage dished out as well as attracted damage on top of the defend ribbons and the 12 planes that we did take down. So a fantastic game. 3,500 is anything above 3K is an excellent game. But just, following the principles and the way, if you play the game the way it's meant to be played, think about your positioning. I've always said this game is like chess. It's naval chess on the water, except you get to shoot guns as well. But I'm also just a little tired of people who, again, everyone's allowed to their own opinion, and we're all allowed to like different boats and different things like that. For example, I hate the Z44 as we show our stats in the WoRsT tier 7. And somebody yesterday on my Z44 video said, you need at least 100 games to have an opinion. And no, you don't. Now, I do only have 19 games. That is not enough. But in reality, you only need about 30 games in a ship to make it statistically significant, where you have a p-value less than 0.05. So all my statisticians are going to know what I'm talking about there. But just on that note, if you're allowed to not like or like different boats, but by just simply saying some boats are bad. Now, again, I kind of did this with the Z44 yesterday, but I have some stats to back up my claim here. I'm just getting a little tired of people who are potentially new to the game, or people who don't back up their results constantly screaming at the top of their lungs. Like we've talked about before, it's usually the people at the bottom of the scoreboard shouting the loudest. But I usually back up my play. I'm not saying I'm the best. I definitely have my bad games, and like I said at the end there, I definitely made a mistake. But we finished the game in spectacular fashion. That could have been a 4K game if we would have gotten the carrier potentially. But regardless, guys, that is the Amagi. Let me know what you guys think is the worst or the best tier 7 battleship, as well as some meme comments in the comment section. I love you guys. I am going to Austin for a bachelor party, my best friend's bachelor party this weekend. I'm also going to the UT versus Kansas game, so if any of my Texas guys are there, hit us up. We'll be around there. Join my Discord, and yeah, love you guys. Hope you guys have a great weekend. Great weekend, a great weekend. Aaron out. Peace.